Deku's got the seventh user, Shimura, Nana's Quirk, Float. Okay, I think this was like we all saw this happening. We all saw this coming. That the only way for Deku to like combat Shigaraki's decay is by not inheriting but activating the seventh user of One For All's quirk, which is obviously Shimura Nana's flow. And I think the best part of this chapter, obviously like the best part of like even just Deku getting flow, has to be Gran Torino realizing, like has to be Gran Torino like opening his eyes basically from death's door and just be like, this quirk, this sensation. I was just like, oh my boy, man. Okay, I think for My Hero Academia 283, there's a couple of questions. I think some questions that is burning right now is flip like what's going on with Gran Torino? Is this a thing where like he sees and he's just like, I can rest at peace now and he just goes? Or is this a thing where he sees and like, I don't know, help comes to him? I mean the guy got hit like his whole gut basically punched. To be fair, All Might's guts were flowing out as well. So, the doctors in My Hero Academia, they're pretty like they're in clutch. So with this chapter, My Hero Academia, right, we see just a lot of things going on. We see just the heroes deliberating on whether they did the right thing on just everything. And this is so important, especially because I was speaking with it in the comments from last week actually, with just what has the decisions did the heroes make the right decisions? And this is stemming back obviously with like Hawks killing twice, but also using sedatives to try and take out Dragon Sabatcho, which didn't even help at all. I mean, the plan obviously was to throw like a sedative in Gigantomach's mouth, but was one vial really gonna work? I mean, by what's her name, Momo, by her specifications, you're just like, yeah, one should be enough. But looking at the size of this guy, the fact that he can not only grow in size, but he's got so many quirks. Like you see this one page where his arms and his hands have literally become, I don't even know how to explain it, but they've elongated out. They've become like vines, kind of, or like elongated claws, which is pretty cool. So we're seeing really Gigantomacho all in his glory right now. Just just like spamming out, taking out everything in its path, trying to get to Shigaraki. We find out that obviously the Nomus were based on Gigantomacho. Now, I think originally we thought the Nomus were based off of like, All For One, the concept of someone having multiple quirks, but it's actually based off Gigantomacho. Like Gigantomacho also has multiple quirks as well, but they based it off more of him in a sense because Gigantomacho, he was just like he takes any orders, like whatever his master says, he basically does it. And obviously that's what the Doctor wanted to emulate within the Nomus as well. So that was interesting to see. And I find it kind of funny how, like the heroes tried all of this. When I talk about the heroes, sorry, I mean class 1A. So the students, they tried all of this stuff and it basically did nothing. And we find out even from the start of the chapter that they were spared. Not even spared. It was more so they weren't seen as a threat. Which obviously that's going to be, which is it's true. Like these guys are still, they're not even second year by the moment right now, are they? So they aren't really anything to deal with in regards to the villains. Like these villains, not only Gigantomachia, but the league of well, not even League of Villains anymore. The Paranormal Liberation Front, they are a whole different league. They're strong. They're not students, so obviously like Class 1A, they weren't worthy. They weren't going to be able to match them. Now, another thing that I want to talk about, which is pretty interesting, is Shigaraki. Now, Shigaraki seems to realize that he's gotten out of the test tube. He's gotten out of the lab a bit early because it's literally his upper body, right, where his chest is, and located right to his arm as well, just like opens up. It's crazy. I'm really intrigued to see how that's gonna look like in animated because obviously the censoring around that is gonna be mad. Like I don't even know what they're gonna do, what the animation studio is gonna do to obviously censor that. But it starts to open up, and Shigaraki's wondering, okay, maybe it's because I passed my limits. Like regeneration should be kicking in right now. And then he asks what date it is, and I find that really interesting, and I find that kind of comical as well. Obviously, to the character Shigaraki, the way that he's been presented, how he's just came through and been introduced. It's quite childish. Obviously, he has grown. We've seen a lot of character development in regards to how he views life and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't talk about a lot of things within like game terms and all of that stuff. Like his mental age or his ability is not at that level as it used to be. But I just find it funny how this guy's just been killing people, like tearing people apart and all of this kind of stuff. And then like he has this innocent face on, be like, okay, what date is it? Like as if he's just pausing a game that we're playing, or like he's just pausing a wrestling match. Like no, but I just found that kind of hilarious. And, like even Deku just looked shocked and just like, what? And obviously Deku realizes that his body can't take it. So Deku's basically trying to get on the advantage right now. He's realizing that there are weaknesses to Shigaraki. This is the weakness of Shigaraki coming at 75%. I think a lot of us assumed it was going to be obviously only at a lot of us assumed that his strength output wasn't going to be as high, but there had to be other complications, and we're seeing these complications as well. Maybe the quirks aren't fully integrated properly. For example, his regeneration, maybe there's a limit to it now, obviously because he's not 100%, so maybe the regeneration can only regenerate a certain, I don't know, like maybe there's a limit to it. Maybe it's being put on, like it's being really stressed right now. Who knows? Well, obviously in the next couple of chapters we'll see. But Deku's really noticing that, and that's why obviously Deku, I don't think he consciously activated flow. I think it was that sense of how Black Whip kind of appeared. It was like he had this thought, he had this desire, and it just, it got released through that. So it was pretty cool, and I think the combination with flow and Black Whip is pretty awesome. And I can't wait to see more of that. That is crazy. So it's like he's using Black Whip, he's holding up everyone. This is just ridiculous. And I just love seeing that panel. That panel was so wholesome. Like Shimura and Nana floating like that with Gran Torino. I'm just like, oh my gosh, man. Like, I want to see more flashbacks. You know what? I could just have a series, a spin-off just on that, on Shimura and Nana, Gran Torino, their adventures, all of that. I would love that. That would be sick in my opinion. I feel like we get pretty popular as well. That would be pretty cool to see. But I would hope Horikoshi obviously delves into that. Obviously, we have the small panels here and there. Through dialogue, we know what went down. But I'd really like to see, from their perspective, I'd really like to see a whole... Obviously, we wouldn't possibly get an arc or something of that sort. But I would really like to see even a couple of chapters or something. And in the perfect world, I'd love to see a spin-off. But yeah, just seeing Deku just at the end of the page, just floating, and he's just like, up here is where I'll beat you. Because bear in mind, Decay doesn't obviously flow through the air. So him flying is the best, is the best defense around it. It's the best way to maneuver against Decay. And now obviously he can combat Shigaraki a bit better. So I guess that's pretty much it for the chapter. A great chapter nonetheless. There was obviously other cooler moments as well, when Todoroki comes in and he's like icing down, he's cooling down Endeavor. I thought that was pretty cool to see as well. The Class 1A students, Class 1A students are deliberating on whether, the heroes are making the right choice. Now that's the question to ask as well, Like the lines have been blurred a bit. There's some of the things that the heroes have done in this arc. We're thinking, was it worth it? And it seems like it hasn't really made that much of a difference. I don't know. I guess, obviously with Twice being gone, his quirk not being in the battlefield right now obviously has made an impact. But the fact with Gigantomachia, Shigaraki being awake, the villains really aren't on the back foot. And obviously that's what their aim was. So it seems like that has failed. But yeah, guys, I think I'm going to end it here. Please tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked anything I say, please drop a like. That helps out the channel a lot as well. And let's continue, engagement down in discussions in the comment down below. We don't have a chapter next week. It's on a break. To be honest, Horikoshi's been in his bag for since this arc started. So you can take a week break. That's totally fine with me. We've had so many good chapters. So yeah, we're going to have a week break, obviously. Maybe I'll release something out in that time. If not, we'll wait till, the next week. But yeah, guys, that's not for me. Peace out and goodbye.